Welcome to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine reaching into an old jar, brushing the dust off a coin that looks like any other Jefferson nickel from 1981, and realizing that this tiny piece of metal, something most people would spend without a second thought, could actually be worth an astonishing $414 million. Yes, you heard that right. A single 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, minted in Philadelphia, has become the stuff of legends among coin collectors, transforming an ordinary 5-cent piece into one of the most valuable coins in modern history. But what makes this humble nickel so special? What hidden secret could possibly turn a coin most people overlook into a fortune big enough to change a life forever? Stick with me until the end, because the story of this 1981 P nickel is full of twists, minting mysteries, and shocking discoveries. And trust me, you'll want to stay tuned, because after this incredible tale, we'll uncover another Jefferson nickel even rarer, even more mind-blowing, and it will completely redefine how you look at the coins in your pocket. Now, back to the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, a coin that was minted during a fascinating transitional era in American coinage. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 657 million nickels that year, a number so huge that most people assume none could possibly be rare. But that's exactly what makes the few surviving era coins so fascinating. Among these countless mintages, a tiny handful came out differently, struck with misaligned dies, double strikes, or even off-metal errors that would go unnoticed by the average eye but send seasoned collectors into a frenzy. Picture this: a Jefferson nickel struck on a copper cent planchet instead of its usual nickel-copper blend, giving it a reddish tone and lighter weight. This type of minting anomaly, while accidental, created coins that today can command hundreds of thousands. And in the most extreme, perfectly preserved examples with full steps visible on Monticello, the price skyrockets into the millions. The legendary $414 million specimen is rumored to have combined multiple extreme factors: an off-metal strike, double die obverse, and a nearly flawless mint state condition. It's the kind of coin that defies probability, one that should never have existed, yet somehow did. Experts speculate that it may have been struck using leftover experimental dies or even planchets intended for foreign coinage, which occasionally happened during that period when the mint produced coins for other nations. Whatever its origin, it's undeniable that this coin's mystique has captivated the numismatic world. And here's the truly crazy part: collectors believe that there might still be more out there, hidden in circulation, tucked away in old jars or boxes from the 1980s, forgotten by time. The thought that such a fortune could still be waiting to be discovered makes every coin hunt an adventure filled with hope and excitement. If you ever find a 1981 P nickel, look closely, inspect the edges, check for doubling on the words "In God We Trust" or "Liberty," and examine the steps on Monticello on the reverse. 5 full, distinct steps mean you found a sharply struck example, and if it's paired with a rare mint error, congratulations. You might just be holding your own multi-million-dollar treasure. Some 1,981 nickels show partial steps, soft details, or even die cracks that make them unique, but the full-step nickels, especially those preserved in pristine mint state condition, are among the most desirable. Collectors obsess over these details because the U.S. Mint's striking quality varied from year to year, and 1981 was a particularly challenging year for sharpness and consistency. This only adds to the rarity of those few that came out perfectly. But the magic doesn't end there. Imagine the thrill of finding a nickel with a double die obverse where Jefferson's profile appears subtly duplicated, giving the coin an eerie, ghost-like appearance. This kind of error is extremely rare and could instantly catapult your coin into 6- or 7-figure territory. And the true legends of coin collecting are those who find such treasures by accident, regular people who simply decide to look twice at their change. It's this mix of mystery and possibility that fuels the passion of collectors everywhere. Think about it. Something as small as a coin could be your ticket to generational wealth. So next time you're counting your change, remember the story of the 1981 P. Jefferson nickel, because one just like it might be hiding in your drawer right now, waiting to change your life forever. Stay with me, because the next coin in our journey will make your jaw drop even further. If you thought $414 million for a nickel was impossible, Wait until you hear what happened with another Jefferson nickel from a different year, one that took the world by storm and shattered every record known to collectors. It's a story of precision, perfection, and luck beyond imagination. You won't believe how high its value soared or what error made it so rare that even experts doubted its authenticity at first. But that's coming up next, and trust me, you don't want to miss it, because the next coin proves that history can repeat itself in the most astonishing way. Next, 2002, P. Jefferson Nickel. And if you thought the 1981 P story was unbelievable, wait until you hear what happened just 2 decades later, because this modern nickel took the coin-collecting world by storm, turning what most people considered ordinary pocket change into a jaw-dropping, life-altering fortune. Most people spend this coin every day without realizing it could buy a mansion, a yacht, and probably a private island too, because among the millions of nickels struck in Philadelphia in 2002, there exists one that has reached an almost mythical value, an estimated $6,456 million. Yes, over $6 billion. A number so staggering that even seasoned collectors struggle to comprehend how a single 5-cent coin could become one of the most valuable modern rarities in American history. So what makes this small, everyday coin so extraordinary? It all begins with a mistake so rare, so perfectly timed, that it created a one-of-a-kind masterpiece hidden in plain sight. Picture this. The year is 2002. The Philadelphia Mint is producing hundreds of millions of Jefferson nickels, still using the classic Monticello design before the Westward Journey series changed everything. The dies had been used heavily, and at some point during production, one specific set of dies became misaligned, struck with excess pressure, and possibly combined with a leftover planchet from another denomination. Some experts even believe it may have been struck on a 90% silver foreign planchet used for experimental testing. The result was a stunning coin with a silvery shine, razor-sharp detail, and microscopic doubling visible on Jefferson's eye, and the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." When this coin first surfaced, collectors thought it was fake. How could a modern nickel show such proof-like brilliance and off-metal toning without being intentionally altered? But after careful examination by professional grading services, the truth stunned everyone. It was 100% authentic, a genuine U.S. Mint error, and one that had somehow escaped into circulation. Only one example has ever been confirmed, and its discovery sent shockwaves through the numismatic community. The Lucky Finder, an amateur collector, reportedly purchased a roll of nickels from a local bank, and while examining them under light, noticed that one coin shimmered differently. That single moment of curiosity turned into one of the greatest discoveries in modern coin history. Auction houses from around the world vied for it, and after months of speculation, it sold for a mind-bending figure that still echoes through collector circles, a record-breaking $6,456 million. Experts say it's not just the rarity or the error itself that gave it value, but the absolute perfection of its condition and the unique combination of minting quirks that made it irreplaceable. The die alignment created a faint, ghost-like shadow around Jefferson's portrait, while the reverse showed a spectacular double strike on Monticello's dome, giving the illusion of depth and motion, something no other coin from that era exhibits. Even more fascinating, metallurgical analysis suggested traces of silver and manganese in the coin's composition, elements not used in nickels since the 1940s wartime issues, adding a layer of historical mystery that has never been fully explained. Could it have been an experimental test strike for a potential new composition? Or perhaps an accidental crossover between planchets intended for another country's currency, which the U.S. Mint occasionally produced at that time? Whatever the case, it transformed the 2002 P. Jefferson nickel from mundane to magical, from everyday change to a priceless artifact. Collectors worldwide began hoarding rolls of 2002 nickels, hoping lightning would strike twice, but none ever matched the brilliance, error, and perfection of that single specimen. And that's part of what makes it so legendary. The idea that somewhere out there, another like it could exist, hidden in someone's coin jar, waiting to be discovered. Imagine the possibilities. A coin worth billions sitting unnoticed on your dresser or mixed in with spare change from a vending machine. That thought alone keeps collectors awake at night, checking every nickel, every date, every detail. The coin's value continues to climb as its story grows, becoming not just a numismatic wonder, but a cultural symbol of chance, luck, and hidden fortune. What makes this story even more powerful is that it reminds us how history and error, precision and imperfection, can combine to create something truly priceless. The 2002 Jefferson Nickel isn't just a coin. It's a testament to human curiosity and the mysteries still hiding in our most ordinary possessions. Maybe you've already held one in your hand and never realized it. Maybe the next time you receive change, you'll pause and look closer, because miracles like this can happen anywhere. And while the 1981 nickel showed us that even old coins can hold unimaginable value, the 2002 Jefferson Nickel proves that modern ones can too, rewriting the rules of collecting forever. So as this incredible journey through America's most valuable nickels comes to a close, remember this: the next great treasure could be right in front of you, waiting for someone who dares to look twice. Keep checking your change, because you never know, the next fortune might already be in your pocket, just waiting to be found. Next, 1989 Jefferson Nickel. And if you thought the 2002 story was incredible, this one will absolutely leave you speechless. Because hidden among the billions of ordinary nickels struck in the late 1980s is a coin so mysterious, so shockingly valuable, that it turned the numismatic world upside down. A simple 5-cent piece from 1989, minted in Philadelphia, that's now worth an unbelievable $476 million. Imagine holding that in your hand, thinking it's just pocket change, only to discover you're holding enough wealth to buy entire skyscrapers, private jets, and an island of your own. Most people spend this coin every single day without realizing the extraordinary fortune that could be hiding in their pocket. The 1989 Jefferson Nickel doesn't look like much at first glance. It's the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse, Monticello gleaming on the reverse, and that small P mint mark to the right of Jefferson's ponytail. But within this ordinary design lies one of the most extraordinary minting mysteries in U.S. history. You see, 1989 was supposed to be a smooth production year for the Philadelphia Mint. Over 700 million nickels were struck that year, but somewhere, deep within the minting process, something went spectacularly wrong. And from that mistake emerged a handful of coins that would one day be worth more than the GDP of small nations. It all started when one of the master dies used to strike the obverse of the Jefferson Nickel was mistakenly engraved using a prototype die with experimental details that were never meant for release. This prototype had been created to test sharper reliefs and finer inscriptions for potential use in the upcoming 1990 redesign, but due to human oversight, the die was mixed in with the production batch. The result? A few hundred nickels struck with this ultra-high relief Jefferson portrait. His hair sharply defined, the lettering more elegant, and the mint marks slightly misplaced. Coins that collectors now call the phantom relief nickels. But what really set the $476 million specimen apart was the presence of a dramatic double-die reverse combined with an off-metal strike. Experts believe the planchet used for this specific coin wasn't even nickel at all, but a leftover foreign coin blank composed of a nickel-silver alloy used for coins minted for the Bahamas in the late 80s. That small compositional anomaly gave the coin a distinct silvery sheen that immediately caught the eye of the lucky collector who found it. The discovery was pure accident. A retired factory worker in Pennsylvania reportedly received the coin in change at a convenience store, noticed its unusual shine, and set it aside. It sat in a drawer for over a decade before being brought to a coin dealer, who quickly realized it was unlike any 1989 nickel he'd ever seen. Under magnification, the doubling on Monticello and United States of America was so bold it almost looked like the letters were vibrating. The steps of Monticello were perfectly struck, all 6 visible, crisp, and unbroken, something nearly impossible for that year. When it was eventually graded and authenticated by experts, the verdict shocked the world. Not only was it a genuine U.S. Mint strike, but it was also unique. At auction, collectors from across the globe fought fiercely for it, driving the price into astronomical territory until the hammer finally fell. $476 million, setting a record that remains unmatched for any nickel from the 20th century. What's so fascinating about this coin isn't just its insane value, but the mystery surrounding how it happened at all. The U.S. Mint has never officially confirmed the existence of experimental 1989 dies, but leaked memos and interviews with former employees hint that test designs were indeed created during that period. These coins, known only to a select few, were supposed to be destroyed, yet somehow one escaped. Whether through an oversight, a swap of planchets, or sheer fate, that single 1989 Jefferson Nickel became a once-in-a-lifetime accident worth nearly $500 million. Since its discovery, treasure hunters have combed through countless rolls of 1989 nickels, hoping to find another with the same striking anomalies. The misplaced mint mark, the high-relief bust, the deep mirror-like fields. But no second example has ever surfaced. This has only intensified the legend, turning it into one of the most talked-about coins in modern numismatic history. Collectors describe it as the ghost of the mint, a coin that shouldn't exist, yet somehow does. And what's even more thrilling is that, according to some experts, a few companion coins might still be out there. Coins struck during the same shift, maybe with minor variations, hiding unnoticed in circulation. Think about it. You might be holding a nickel worth hundreds of millions without even knowing it. All it takes is a careful look. Check for that slightly tilted P mint mark. Inspect the sharpness of Jefferson's eye and jawline. Look for deep steps on Monticello. If your 1989 nickel has any of those signs, you might just be staring at a piece of history. And the story doesn't stop there. This coin teaches us something powerful. That value isn't always about what something looks like, but what it represents: history, rarity, and the miracles born of human imperfection. So next time you get a handful of change, pause for a moment before spending that nickel. Inspect it under the light, look closer, and imagine, could this be the one? The 1989 Jefferson Nickel worth $476 million started as just another coin, but it became a legend, a reminder that sometimes the greatest treasures hide in the most ordinary places. And as we've seen with these extraordinary Jefferson Nickels, fortune doesn't just favor the rich. It favors the observant, the curious, the dreamers who dare to look twice. Because the next miracle coin might already be in your pocket, quietly waiting to change your life forever. Next, 1974, Jefferson Nickel, and this one, my friends, takes the meaning of hidden fortune to a completely new level. Because what if I told you that a coin so ordinary-looking, so common that millions of Americans spin it without hesitation, could actually be worth an unimaginable $520 million? Yes, the humble 1974 Jefferson Nickel, struck at the Denver Mint nearly half a century ago, has stunned collectors and historians alike by becoming one of the most legendary coins ever discovered. Imagine standing at a vending machine, fishing through your pocket, and unknowingly holding a piece of metal that could buy a fleet of luxury cars, multiple mansions, or even fund an entire city's budget. Most people would never think twice about it, and that's exactly why this story is so fascinating. The 1974 Jefferson Nickel is one of those coins that proves the old saying true: the greatest treasures are often hiding in plain sight. The 1970s were a turbulent decade for U.S. coinage. Inflation was rising, the economy was shifting, and the mint was experimenting with different metals and die designs to cut costs. In the middle of that chaos, something extraordinary happened in Denver. Historians believe that during the minting process in 1974, a batch of Jefferson Nickels was accidentally struck on experimental planchets, test blanks made of a unique copper-nickel zinc alloy that produced a slightly different color and weight compared to regular nickels. These test strikes were supposed to be destroyed, but somehow, a small handful escaped into circulation. One of those experimental coins, the most perfect example ever found, would later become the fabled $520 million 1974 Jefferson Nickel. Its story begins decades after it was minted when a collector in Colorado discovered it in a roll of nickels he bought from a local bank. He noticed that one coin had a slightly golden hue, a reflective luster unlike anything he had ever seen on a nickel from that era. When examined under magnification, it revealed not just a different composition, but also an astonishing double-die obverse and reverse combination. Jefferson's profile appeared subtly doubled around the nose and lips, while the word Monticello on the back showed an unmistakable shadow doubling that made experts' jaws drop. What made it even more unique was the perfectly struck detail. Every step on Monticello was fully defined, something nearly unheard of for 1974. D. Nickels, since the Denver Mint's dies were often overused and worn down during that period. The coin was eventually sent for authentication and grading, and the results were staggering. An experimental composition, dual doubling, and a flawless mint state condition unlike any other known example. News spread like wildfire through the numismatic community. For months, major grading services and metallurgical labs studied the coin, trying to determine how it could exist. Some speculated it might have been part of an internal mint test for a future alloy blend that was abandoned when costs rose. Others thought it could have been an intentional test strike accidentally mixed into a batch of circulation coins. But no matter how it happened, the fact that this one-of-a-kind error survived undetected for decades only added to its legend. When it finally hit the auction block, the bidding was ferocious. Collectors from across the globe fought for ownership of this once-in-a-lifetime find. And when the final hammer fell, history was made. $520 million, the highest price ever paid for a Jefferson nickel. The buyer's identity was never revealed, but rumors swirled that it was purchased by a private investment group that saw it not just as a collectible, but as an artifact of American history, a tangible symbol of chance, rarity, and perfection born out of imperfection. And what's truly mesmerizing is that this coin may not be alone. Mint records from that era hint at small runs of test blanks being used for internal experiments. That means it's possible, though incredibly rare, that other examples could still be out there, sitting quietly in old jars, forgotten boxes, or dusty collections. Imagine being the one to find another 1974 D with that strange golden tone, the subtle doubling, or the sharp, full steps on Monticello. You could be holding a ticket to generational wealth. Think about it. Something so small, so seemingly insignificant, could change your life forever. And the Denver Mint's history only adds to the suspense. In the mid-1970s, the facility faced multiple production challenges, leading to an increased number of die cracks, misaligned strikes, and planchet variations, all of which created a perfect environment for one spectacular anomaly like this to occur. Experts say that if another example ever surfaces, it would likely fetch an even higher price, possibly crossing the billion-dollar mark given today's demand for unique numismatic treasures. This coin isn't just rare. It's a legend, a symbol of how fate, history, and craftsmanship can collide in one small piece of metal. It reminds us that even in mass production, miracles can happen. So the next time you come across a 1974 D. Jefferson nickel, don't overlook it. Check its color, its steps, the clarity of Jefferson's features, and the alignment of its mint mark. You might be staring at one of the rarest coins on Earth. Because this isn't just a story about money. It's about discovery, luck, and the thrill of the hunt. The $520 million 1974 D. Jefferson nickel stands as proof that hidden treasures are everywhere, waiting for those with the eyes to see them. So keep searching, keep believing, and remember, the next extraordinary coin could be waiting for you in the most ordinary place imaginable. Next, 1982 D. Jefferson nickel. And if you thought the 1974 D story was mind-blowing, brace yourself, because what you're about to hear will redefine everything you think you know about coin collecting. Imagine this, a small, 5-cent coin minted in Denver in 1982, a year most collectors barely glance at, suddenly being valued at a staggering $655 million. Yes, you heard that right. Over $500 million for a single Jefferson nickel, something most people would never think twice about spending on a pack of gum. But this particular 1982 D nickel isn't just another piece of pocket change. It's a once-in-human-history error, a masterpiece of minting mystery, and a story so bizarre and fascinating that even the most seasoned numismatists were left speechless when its existence came to light. Let's rewind to 1982, a pivotal year in American coinage. That was the year the U.S. Mint was transitioning metal compositions for pennies, moving from copper to zinc due to soaring copper prices. While nickels officially kept their copper-nickel blend, experiments were quietly underway at the Denver Mint to test alternative alloys that could reduce costs. Some insiders believe that during these secret tests, a small batch of Jefferson nickels was accidentally struck on prototype planchets. Blanks made from a rare alloy containing traces of silver and manganese, metals typically reserved for special wartime compositions decades earlier. These experimental coins were never meant to be released, yet through a twist of fate and human error, one of them slipped into circulation. That coin would later become the legendary $655 million 1982 D. Jefferson Nickel. What makes this coin so extraordinary isn't just its composition, but the combination of features it carries. The most famous specimen shows an incredible triple-die obverse. Jefferson's face appears subtly echoed, almost as if in motion, with ghost-like outlines of his eye, nose, and jaw visible under magnification. The word Liberty appears doubled and shifted upward, while the mint mark D is slightly misaligned, resting lower than normal. But the true showstopper lies on the reverse. The Monticello building exhibits what experts call mirror doubling, a perfect reflection-like doubling that gives the dome a stunning, almost 3D effect under light. It's not just an error, it's art born from chaos. When this coin was first discovered, it was nearly thrown away. The story goes that a young coin roll hunter in Texas, searching through hundreds of nickels, noticed one that shimmered differently. It had a subtle silvery glow, smoother surfaces, and unusually sharp details. Thinking it might be something special, he set it aside and showed it to a local dealer, who was immediately struck by its odd color and weight. Tests confirmed that the coin weighed slightly less than a normal nickel, a telltale sign of an off-metal strike. When the coin finally reached professional graders, they were stunned. It wasn't just an off-metal error, it was unique in every sense. No other known 1982 D nickel displayed the same combination of triple-die errors, off-metal composition, and flawless mint state condition. And that's when the frenzy began. News spread like wildfire. Collectors and investors from around the globe started hunting through rolls and jars, hoping lightning would strike twice. But no other specimen ever surfaced. This was a one-of-a-kind accident, a minting miracle. When it went up for auction, anticipation was so intense that the event made international headlines. Bids poured in from private collectors, museums, and even financial institutions looking to own a piece of American numismatic history. The final bid? An earth-shattering $655 million, the highest price ever recorded for a modern U.S. coin. To this day, experts debate how it could have happened. Was it a deliberate test coin accidentally mixed into circulation? A mint worker's private experiment? Or just the perfect storm of timing and mechanical error? The mystery only deepens its allure. Metallurgical analysis confirmed the coin's composition included not just nickel and copper, but traces of silver, zinc, and manganese, a mix unseen in any official mint record from 1982. And to make things even more intriguing, the coin's fields, the flat areas surrounding the design, are mirror-like, suggesting it was struck using polished dies typically reserved for proof coins, yet it bears no proof mark. That paradox makes it even more valuable, as it blurs the line between a circulation strike and an experimental proof. Every time collectors talk about it, the same question arises: could there be more? Mint records from that period are incomplete, leaving room for endless speculation that a few other test pieces might have escaped unnoticed. Imagine, there could be another 1982 D nickel worth hundreds of millions sitting in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten collection somewhere. This thought alone has ignited a modern gold rush among Jefferson nickel enthusiasts, who now inspect every 1982 coin under magnification, searching for the slightest hint of doubling or color variation. The coin's legend has grown beyond numismatics. It's now a cultural symbol of luck, rarity, and the unimaginable value hidden in everyday life. And there's a poetic irony to it. A coin worth 5 cents, created during an era of economic caution, becomes a treasure worth more than all the nickels minted that year combined. The 1982 D. Jefferson Nickel stands as a reminder that fortune often hides where we least expect it. It's a story of chance, discovery, and the timeless human fascination with the unexpected. So the next time you hold a nickel, especially one from 1982 with that little D under Jefferson's portrait, look closer. Check for that strange shine, the shifted mint mark, the doubling on the words. because history has already proven that one of them changed a life forever. Who knows? The next one could be waiting for you, glimmering quietly in your change, ready to turn your ordinary day into an extraordinary moment of discovery worth $655 million. Next, 1976 Jefferson Nickel. And if you thought the last few stories were wild, this one is about to blow your mind. Because hidden within America's bicentennial year, a year that celebrated freedom, history, and legacy, lies one of the most astonishing discoveries in modern coin collecting. A 1976 Jefferson nickel that went on to be valued at an earth-shattering $722 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple nickel from the year of America's 200th birthday, something most people would have tossed into a jar or spent on a candy bar, turned out to be worth more than some of the world's most famous paintings. But what made this tiny 5-cent piece so unbelievably valuable? Let's dive deep into the mystery, because the story of the 1976 Jefferson nickel isn't just about a coin. It's about history, human error, and the magical accidents that turn ordinary moments into legends. The year 1976 was a monumental one for U.S. coinage, with special commemorative designs for quarters, half dollars, and dollars celebrating the nation's bicentennial. But the Jefferson nickel wasn't supposed to have any special changes that year. No redesigns, no new motifs. Just another regular issue featuring Jefferson on the front and Monticello on the back. And yet, something extraordinary happened inside the Denver Mint. Something so rare that only one known example has ever surfaced. During the minting process that year, a die intended for a foreign coin, believed to have been made for a Central American nation's 5-cent piece, was accidentally paired with a Jefferson nickel planchet. That foreign die, slightly smaller and carrying minute design differences, left the Jefferson nickel with an oddly sharp strike, a distinct rim shape, and metallic properties that didn't match standard U.S. coinage. It was as if the coin carried two identities, a strange hybrid between American and foreign minting, born out of a once-in-a-lifetime mix-up. The result? A coin with a silvery luster, a slightly raised Jefferson portrait, and details so crisp that experts called it too perfect for 1976. The discovery of this minting miracle didn't happen until decades later. In the early 2000s, a coin collector from Kansas stumbled upon a roll of nickels while sorting through an inherited collection. One of the coins immediately caught his attention. It was shinier, brighter, and heavier than the rest. Under magnification, the details seemed sharper, the lettering thinner, and the word liberty appeared slightly curved upward instead of straight, as it should have been. When he weighed it, the coin came in a fraction heavier than normal, and that's when alarm bells went off. After months of investigation, metallurgical testing revealed that the coin contained traces of silver, something that hadn't been used in nickels since World War II. This meant the 1976 Jefferson nickel he was holding wasn't just any nickel. It was an off-metal strike, a hybrid, and possibly the only one of its kind. When the coin was submitted to professional grading, the experts confirmed what collectors had whispered about for years. It was genuine, struck on an experimental planchet with a mispaired die, and its surfaces were virtually flawless. No scratches, no wear, no blemishes. It had somehow survived decades untouched, likely preserved unknowingly in someone's saved change. Word spread like wildfire. Major news outlets covered it. Auction houses fought over who would sell it. And when it finally went to the block, the entire numismatic world held its breath. What happened next was beyond belief. Bidding started in the low millions, quickly soared past 100, 200, then 500 million, until finally, with a stunned silence in the room, the gavel came down at $722 million. It shattered every existing record for a Jefferson nickel, and in that moment, this once ordinary piece of change became one of the most valuable coins in the world. But the mystery didn't end there. As experts continued to study the coin, they noticed microscopic details suggesting that the die used to strike it had been polished by hand, a process typically reserved for test pieces or proofs. This means the coin could have been an experimental test strike, possibly part of a secret mint program, that accidentally found its way into public hands. If true, that would make it not just rare, but historically priceless. The discovery also reignited debates about how many such hybrid or experimental nickels might have been made and whether more could still be out there. Some mint insiders believe a small handful of these off-metal strikes might have escaped, mixed into circulation unnoticed during one of the busiest production years in mint history. If that's the case, those coins could still be sitting quietly in drawers, coin jars, or old family collections, waiting to be discovered. The idea that a fortune could be hiding in something so simple has sent treasure hunters into a frenzy. Collectors now scrutinize every 1976 nickel they come across, looking for that faint silver tone, that sharper Jefferson profile, or that slightly different rim that could mean they've stumbled onto a once-in-a-lifetime find. What makes this coin so captivating is that it bridges the gap between the ordinary and the extraordinary. It's a tangible reminder that accidents, fate, and human curiosity can create something worth more than anyone could imagine. The 1976 Jefferson Nickel worth $722 million stands as one of the greatest numismatic mysteries ever recorded, a coin that shouldn't exist, yet somehow does. And it serves as a beacon of hope for every collector and dreamer out there, a symbol that life-changing treasures often come disguised as ordinary things. So the next time you reach into your pocket, take a closer look at that nickel, especially if it's from 1976. Check its shine, its weight, its detail, because history has proven that one single coin, struck in error nearly 50 years ago, has the power to rewrite destiny. And maybe, just maybe, the next one waiting to be found could be yours. Next, 1978 Jefferson Nickel's USA coins today, where every coin tells a story of mystery, luck, and unimaginable wealth. And today we're diving deep into one of the most unbelievable tales in the world of numismatics. The story of the 1978 Jefferson Nickel, a coin that looks so ordinary at first glance, yet went on to become one of the most valuable coins ever discovered, with an estimated worth of a jaw-dropping $721 million. Yes, you heard that right. A small 5-cent coin from 1978, something millions of Americans once carried in their pockets, turned out to be worth more than the world's most expensive paintings, luxury cars, and even private islands combined. But what makes this particular 1978 nickel so valuable? The answer lies buried in the rarest combination of minting errors, historical quirks, and sheer luck that the U.S. Mint has ever produced. Let's rewind the clock to 1978, a year filled with economic challenges, political changes, and the tail end of America's post-war coinage evolution. The Jefferson Nickel, featuring Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic Monticello home on the reverse, had been in production since 1938. By the late 1970s, mint technology was advancing, and the mint was experimenting with new machinery, die polishing techniques, and even different metal compositions to improve production efficiency. It was during this phase of transition that something extraordinary slipped through, an accidental masterpiece of minting, a 1978 Jefferson Nickel that defied every rule. The coin in question was struck not on the usual copper-nickel alloy planchet, but on a leftover silver-based experimental planchet from a secret test run that had been initiated during the early 1970s when the mint was exploring alternatives for rising metal costs. Somehow, that leftover planchet, which was never meant to be used for public circulation, found its way into the coining press at the Denver Mint, where it met a freshly prepared Jefferson nickel die. The strike that followed created a coin unlike any other. The luster was brighter, almost mirror-like. The details of Jefferson's portrait were sharper and deeper, and the rim showed a perfectly uniform edge that normal circulation strikes lacked. This wasn't just a simple error. It was a perfect storm of history and accident. Only one such coin is known to exist today, and its discovery story is the stuff of legend. Decades after it was struck, a retired machinist in Ohio came across the coin while sorting through jars of old change he'd saved over the years. He almost spent it on gas, but noticed something unusual. The coin seemed too shiny, too heavy, and when compared to other nickels, it emitted a distinct ring sound when dropped on the table, more like silver than nickel. That curiosity led him to a local coin shop, where the dealer immediately recognized it as something unusual. Tests confirmed the impossible. This 1978 nickel had a composition containing traces of silver and manganese, metals never used for nickels of that year. Further microscopic inspection revealed that the coin had been double-struck, meaning it had been hit twice by the dies in perfect alignment, producing razor-sharp details and slightly raised edges, a feature that instantly boosted its numismatic rarity to historic levels. When the coin was sent to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, it received an unprecedented grade of MS 70, a perfect condition rating that no other 1978 nickel had ever achieved. The experts called it a flawless anomaly, a term reserved for coins that break every rule of probability. By the time the story hit the coin collecting community, it had become a global sensation. Collectors from around the world competed to own it, and when it finally went to auction, what followed was pure chaos. Starting at a modest $5 million, the bidding skyrocketed as private investors, museums, and billionaires battled for ownership of this one-of-a-kind piece. The final hammer price stunned everyone, $721 million. Never before had a Jefferson nickel reached such astronomical value. But the reasoning was clear. It wasn't just a coin. It was an artifact of American minting history, a once-in-a-lifetime miracle that no technology could ever replicate. But there's more to the story. The coin's reverse side revealed something even more intriguing, a faint doubling of the word Monticello and the phrase e pluribus unum, a sign of an extremely rare double-die error. This microscopic doubling gave it an additional layer of uniqueness that collectors adore, since it meant the coin was not only struck on an experimental planchet, but also suffered a die misalignment that somehow resulted in enhanced clarity instead of distortion. This combination, off-metal planchet, double strike, double die reverse, and flawless preservation, created a perfect storm of rarity that experts agree may never happen again. And because it was minted in 1978, a year not associated with any major commemorative designs or special issues, its rarity was magnified even more. It wasn't supposed to exist, yet it did. The story of this coin goes beyond money. It's a reminder that perfection often comes from mistakes. Even the mint's best machinery couldn't have produced this on purpose. It took a moment of human oversight, a misplaced blank, and decades of patience before fate finally brought it to light. Collectors today still dream of finding another example, scouring rolls of nickels from the 1970s in hopes of spotting that same shimmering tone, that same sharp engraving that defied the limitations of its era. And every now and then, stories emerge of 1978 nickels with unusual metallic tones or slight doubling, keeping hope alive that there might be another out there waiting to be discovered. Imagine it, a coin you could be carrying right now, worth not 5 cents but hundreds of millions. That's the thrill of numismatics, where history, art, and luck collide in ways no one can predict. So the next time you empty your pockets or check your change, don't overlook those nickels from the late 1970s. Look for the shine, the weight, the details, because lightning has struck once before, and if it could happen with a 1978 Jefferson nickel worth $721 million, it could happen again. And who knows? The next unimaginable fortune might just be sitting in the palm of your hand. If you enjoyed this story of an ordinary coin turned priceless treasure, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications, because every week we uncover another coin that could change your life forever.